Yes.
Larry, what have you got with it?
The front page of the Daily Mail, we mentioned it earlier, 40,000 quid each. That's each family is going to have to pay the astonishing amount of taxpayer cash used to fund the $850 billion bank bailout.
But
and they're still demanding bonuses.
Not,
well, it's certainly scary. There's a new report out, which is by the National Audit Office, which is the government department that works out where taxpayers' money is going. And they've finally done a report into the handling of the financial crisis by the government. And the £40,000 is what we might end up paying if all the guarantees are paid and all the loans are paid and everything. Actually, at the moment, you'll be glad to know we stand having paid substantially less. I mean, it's still...
It's less than half at the moment, isn't it?
It is less than half. But the other thing that's really shocking about this story is that the total cost of financial advice to the Treasury since September 2007 is £107 million. Now, I thought that Gordon Brown was a financial whiz.
He's a genius.
Well, apparently not, because he had to spend £107 million having financial...
Lawyers
yes.
and, presumably, other banks.
It is, it is. So that's incredibly shocking. Why haven't they got these...
Suisse, I believe.
Yes, why haven't they got people on staff? Moving to...
It's an incredible amount, though, £107 million for advice.
Well, lawyers obviously doing OK,
as you said, I thought Gordon Brown was the guy that figured it all out. And you think with the amount of money that was slooshing around, that everybody would be in for the good of the country.
You know what's also quite worrying? If you turn to the Times, which also covers the same story, they're talking about the reason that the National Audit Office have only done their report now is that everything was done very cloak and dagger at the time. Now, you could say, well, they couldn't come out in the open and say, we've all gone belly up, because we would all go belly up. So they had to give secret loans, and there were kind of almost like bungs going on to prop up, which we knew nothing about.
Yeah,
and it wasn't voted on by Parliament. Somebody took a decision to give this money, and then we're going to have to pay the bill in the end. So that is really worrying, but I'm glad to see that there is some transparency coming, even if it's a bit late now. Moving to the Meredith Kercher murder trial is drawing to a close, and Amanda Knox, who's the American...
Do you find it as fascinating as I do, this case?
I find her very fascinating.
Yes, I do.
Because either she is genuinely innocent but has got the most odd manner about her. I mean, the cartwheeling in the police station, and she said that she's been allowed to appeal directly to the Italian jury to not find her guilty. And she doesn't say, I'm innocent, please don't find me. She says, don't make me wear the mask of a killer, which is a very odd phrase, I think, which is all about how you look, or it's just peculiar, very peculiar. So we'll find out whether she's going to be, obviously, what the verdict is. She effectively says
she wasn't there, but they sort of have evidence, don't they, of footprints, in blood.
Evidence, as we know, in the past could be wrong. She could be innocent, Moving on to a really funny story in today's Mail. Nativity chic, how pushy parents spend 150 quid on costume to make their child shine. I picked my kids up from school yesterday, and there was the dreaded note being handed to me. Your child is A, and they filled it in this nativity play. I've got a sheep, I've got a king, I can't what else I've got. But
singing lobster?
But the king is easy. No, fortunately, the king is easy, tea towel. But the sheep is a nightmare. I once had to do a camel.
Cotton wool, just stick a cotton wool.
No, you can't stick glue on a child's... No, you can't.
They're young, they won't remember.
They're talking about people buying cashmere pashminas to do Mary. We did a towel in my day. And they're also saying that people are buying striped velour dressing gowns for the king. So I don't think parents are spending lots of money. I think parents, because the biggest status symbol is not to spend lots of money. No, the biggest status symbol is to be seen to have made the costume yourself.
Right.
And if it looks homemade, and then you've really...
I remember on Halloween around Primrose Hill, you'd have all the kids out with their parents. They look like they're in a movie set. I mean, the costumes were so lavish. So I think it's possible. Maybe not commonplace, but possible.
OK, moving to, this is your favourite story of the day, how the Finder's crispy pancake is turning into a gourmet dish.
Well, that may be overstating the case a little.
Well, I remember they were a big thing back in the...
They were delicious, but there was one problem with them, which is cooking them made your house stink. Because there were some of the fumes that were released.
And they were always kind of nuclear temperature inside, weren't they? Yeah. But they were a very exotic food, weren't they? Well, Hugh Fearnley-Whittingstall made his own version on TV. And this sparked Findus to think, you know, there's a whole new market out there for the kind of gourmet crispy pancakes. So they've got three new flavours: lobster thermidor, Moroccan lamb tagine, and butternut squash and goat's cheese. Now, but you see, what I think is interesting is that I I think that they actually, because there is a real nostalgia factor about them, I think as adults, but then there's also the kind of, oh, I wonder what that's like. I'll have to try that.
Yes.
You know, I think they'll do really well with them.
The young people don't know what we're talking about.
No, they don't. But then they never had a Vesta curry either.
Oh!
That was exotic.
That was living.
It was.
Michael, you don't know what we're talking about, do you? Have you ever had a crispy pancake?
Yeah.
Have you?
Don't talk to me about pancakes. Don't talk to me about pancakes. Don't mention anything. Don't do it.
Green pancakes, I remember.
I shouldn't have said that.
MasterChef.
Yes.
MasterChef, probably the most revolting dish ever cooked on
You didn't taste it. You didn't taste it.
It was a lurid... He put food colouring in his pancakes. They were lurid green. Anyway, what have you got from the papers?
Lovely.
Sorry, my friend.
In the Daily Telegraph, we've got Tories to repay debts of top students if they teach. Leading graduates will have their student debts paid off if they are willing to become teachers under a Tory plan to lure the best candidates into the profession.
It's a cracking idea.
I think it's a great idea because I think teachers don't get paid enough. I think it's a very valuable profession, and there's obviously a shortage of teachers as well.
In essence, you're talking about maybe up to 40 grand for some people if they really went for it?
It can save graduates up to £40,000, and this is based on policies actually put forward by Barack Obama in America. And there are fears that maths and physics are being taught by untrained staff. So they're going to target, you know, graduates in those particular subjects.
The problem with that is that when they say the best students, are we going to have the kind of really dweeby, you know, physics graduate? I actually don't want him teaching my kids because I think he won't be able to actually connect with another human being.
Well, that's what physics is all about, isn't it?
Well, you're going to have sort of languages students who can talk to people somehow teaching physics, because physics people, on the whole, are not the most able communicators.
It's a dweeb-to-dweeb relationship, physics.
Yeah, and you want
normal people aren't involved.
Yeah, and you want the teachers to be as trained as possible, and to point out that under the Tory plans, the loans would only be repaid for the time that the graduate remained in the profession. So as long as the graduates remain teachers.
Oh, so you don't get it all in one go?
No, as long as they remain in the profession.
So does this mean the smart teachers all go into, or the smart graduates all go into teaching, and the dummies become doctors? And
Airline pilots. Anything else, Michael?
Yes, in The Sun, we've got Ronnie choked lover in the street. This is about the Rolling Stone, Ronnie Wood, who's been arrested amid claims that he choked his young Russian lover during a violent street bust-up.
Jo Wood is well out of that, isn't she? Jo Wood is well out of that.
She's well out of that, yeah.
How many years and years has she put up with that?
He's a very troubled man, isn't he, with his drink problem and stuff
Well, actually, apparently, a lot of the row stemmed from the fact that he's still close to Joe and his family, actually, so...
OK.
Yeah.
OK. It's very sad.
And we've got a funny story in the Daily Star. Love hurts for sex-mad Brits. More than 23 million Britons have injured themselves having sex this year.
23? That's one in three.
Three?
Yeah.
Three?
Good Lord.
Have you injured yourself, Michael, during sex?
I always wear a crash helmet. Always got to be as safe as possible.
Larry, I suppose you've been injured, you've had children, haven't you?
Oh, gosh.
No, just emotionally.
Well, it's funny, it's so funny. The advice from onepoll.com is to remove any dangerous objects well before you plan to make love. So imagine in the throes of passion, hold up the table, the chair, move it. Be careful.
What interesting lives others lead.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And here, another story in The Sun. Murder on I'm a Celeb. There's a TV host in rage at bug torture. The bosses of I'm a Celebrity are accused of slaughtering innocent insects, according to wildlife expert Chris Packham. He's upset that these crocodiles' mouths are tied, and he's particularly upset that the crocodiles were subjected to swimming in a tank with Jordan. He thinks that's animal cruelty.
Who for?
Exactly. And we got a story here in the Daily Mirror. Still the worst Xmas tree ever. I think the Durham County Council were watching us yesterday when we spoke about their rubbish Christmas tree, because they've gone and replaced it with something only slightly less rubbish.
Let's have a look.
Basically. Look at that. Look at that.
I think they're missing the point.
I think they are missing the point. And so now the only difference is that this Christmas tree has now got a tip on the top, but it's still rubbish. I really feel sorry for the tree. Look at it.
I love Christmas.
The villagers aren't happy.
No, I don't blame them. I don't blame them. They're national laughing stock.